What does it mean to be British? I've been watching some of these video responses so far, and I have to say, one that I absolutely loved was Glasses and TV. She said in her video about the British being American but upgraded, quite like that. But from watching these videos, I see a lot of Americans responding, but not many of us Brits. So I'm standing up, having my say, and hoping more Brits will come on board and answer this question. But a lot of the Americans who've said stuff so far have posted things about British being English or English accents, or being British means you like tea. But then I've also noticed a lot of Brits pointing out that they like tea as well, or the just general liking of tea in Britain. Well, I fit none of that criteria because I'm Northern Irish, but I'm also British. And obviously I don't have an English accent. Also, I like tea, but I don't drink it all the time, and it took me a long time to try and even like tea. I wouldn't even drink it every day. I would maybe have it once or twice a week, if at all. So now that I've said that, perhaps I'll be excommunicated for not liking tea, and not being a tea fanatic, but we'll get over that. As I have been thinking about what it does mean to be British, the word tradition keeps coming up in my mind. And whether someone says they're traditional or not, we all seem to have our traditions that we hold on to. It's perhaps the comfort or the safety that we like of holding on to things, like a good stew or a good casserole or a good steak or something even, or the British pound and not becoming the euro and all that sort of stuff. Or maybe it's some part of our history that we cling to, or a part of our heritage, or a sport, or a style of dance, or whatever. Or even the brands that we know and we love. And for some, it's just about how regularly we have a cup of tea. I can't stress the some enough, but anyway. The other thing that comes to mind is how things have to be done a certain way. An example being, the roads in the UK, in my humble and limited opinion, seem to be better maintained than elsewhere generally. However, this has its drawbacks, meaning there's miles and miles of traffic cones everywhere, and also that there's miles and miles of traffic everywhere too. But there's a lot of things that we have to do sort of a certain way, and I don't mean other ways are wrong necessarily, it's just that we Brits like to do things a certain way, like the way things are maintained or just generally done, even paperwork and stuff that you may have to do before you do something or after you do something. So whether it's conscious or subconscious, things have to be done just a certain way. And if they're not done that certain way, we'll tend to complain about it. And that includes the weather generally. So if the weather doesn't do things a certain way, we'll complain about that lots too. But with things being done a certain way, it isn't a bad thing really, because it's how we manage to keep things right and accurate and whatever, blah 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 there. So those are just my thoughts, or a few of my thoughts on what it means to be British.